If you're not listening to Pubcast, the terrorists are winning. That's what Jay Moore says.
Welcome to the Pubcast. Sit down and enjoy a pint.
Welcome to the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles episode of the Pubcast. This movie may not be one of the big Christmas classics like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and Elf, or Die Hard. Yes, it's a Christmas movie, but it certainly qualifies as a holiday classic. It's one of the few memorable movies that focuses on Thanksgiving, and by pairing Steve Martin with John Candy, it took the tried and true road trip movie concept and elevated it to a new level with cringy slapstick comedy. So join me, Allison and Eric, as we break down Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
During holiday travel, some people get delirious. Some get delayed. And some get Del Griffin.
American Light and Fixture, Director of Sales, Shower Curtain Ring Division.
Neil Page got all three.
I was on my way home to spend a nice holiday with my family. Instead, I'm in a motel bed with a stranger.
So instead of Thanksgiving with his family, he's spending 3 days with the turkey.
Two happy clams just whistling down the road.
Flintstones, meet the Flintstones, they're the modern Tony family.
Paramount Pictures presents Steve Martin.
You ever been to Hawaii?
Yeah.
You see Don Ho while you were there?
See the second show, that's the best one.
Is that right?
Yeah.
John Candy.
Why are you holding my hand? Where's your other hand? Between two pillows. Those aren't pillows.
In a new film by John Hughes. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
See that Bears game last week? Yeah, hell of a game.
All right, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, 1987. This is a fantastic no-nonsense plot.
I'm ready.
A Chicago advertising man must struggle to travel home from New York for Thanksgiving with the lovable oaf of a shower curtain ring salesman as his only companion. A Chicago advertising man? I found that phrasing strange, but great. Okay. Technically, you're there, but
Yeah.
this appears to be written by like a bot, like an AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, nuts.
There's way too much information in that no-nonsense plot.
Yeah.
Extraneous information.
Yeah, it could be half that size. All right. Overall reaction to the movie. We can do where you watched it or whatever, but who really cares? I definitely did not see this in the theaters. I was way late to this movie.
I would agree. I feel like I've seen it. I saw it once on a rental or something like that, and then went a long period of time without watching it again.
Yeah.
And probably rediscovered it in the last 10 years, maybe, as like something I've watched probably more in the last 10 years than I did in the first
Definitely
25 that it was out.
Yeah. I probably talking about being late to this movie. This is the part where I admit that I saw this movie the first time maybe 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
I definitely saw it let's say 20 years ago, but it wasn't in the 80s or 90s, I don't think. I knew of it. It was on, and you knew the famous line and the famous couple of scenes, but I wasn't on this movie until way late. Not as late as Eric, but late.
Yeah.
So the one thing that kept standing out to me, I kept thinking about when watching this movie, and it's clearly obvious with this crew, of course, is the influences on Tommy Boy. I could not, every scene I'm like, oh, that was from Tommy Boy, that, or vice versa. Like that was definitely influenced that. And Chris Farley is doing a Tommy Boy or a John Candy impression in this scene, and Spade is definitely doing a Steve Martin reaction in that scene. Like I kept flashing back to Tommy Boy.
Interesting. I didn't think of that, but now that you say it, I'm there.
Oh, it's
for sure.
Almost beat for beat, throughout the movie. Yeah. That was
down to like the car getting destroyed and
right.
driving a jalopy down the highway.
Because I kind of forgot about that scene.
Yeah.
And then it came up, I'm like, oh, this is literally the exact same scene.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Very insightful. I did not think about it.
All right. Overall reaction to the movie. So I liked it. I remembered it being more punchy, having more, I don't know, bigger laughs.
I think it's because the humor has moved on to a certain extent.
I know. That's what I thought too.
And I think the harshness of Steve Martin's personality towards Dell, I don't know, gets the same kind of laughs that it might have then, you know?
No.
It was just, it's different. I mean, there are funny parts that I definitely laughed out loud when I was watching it, but at the same time, I'm like...
There are laughs.
Oh, it's a little cringy.
Yeah,
like
not as big a laughs.
The way he talks to him sometimes.
It's not as, like, overt and, you know, obviously funny as Tommy Boy, but it's not as sort of dry and sort of overly cringy like Midnight Run.
Right.
Like, it's somewhere in between, and I think it's fine. It's good, but I remember it being better.
It also, in my opinion, is more about the visual gags as opposed to dialogue. I mean, there is some of that, but I think for me, you know, even when I was trying to figure out like quotes, like there's a handful of quotes, but it's more about the visual of whatever's happening that
I wrote down like one quote, and then it was just scenes.
Yeah.
Eric, agree or disagree?
No, I agree with that. I think particularly that first time when they're in the motel.
Yeah.
And Neil tells him off. That's
like
really.
It goes on harsh. For a long time.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Like it should have been 30 seconds, and it was a minute and a half. Like, whoa.
And John Candy just standing there taking it.
His face is just crumbling.
I know. I mean, it was actually probably some of the best John Candy acting.
Yeah.
Of like, you could see like his eyes just getting that shine of like you could see like his feelings were really were getting hurt, kind of thing. But he's just like quiet and just kind of taking it as it seems like he's always had to take it. Mm-hmm. You know.
So do you think Dell is the older brother of what was the Buck? Not
Uncle Buck?
Uncle Buck, yeah.
Dell's the older brother of Buck?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. They could be related. And there's a lot of parallels to that movie and this movie, or overlaps with John Hughes and everything.
Yeah.
I forgot this was a John Hughes movie until we were watching it.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, there's lots of recurring characters and actors, not characters, but actors that you've seen before, and it's got his style for sure.
Well, you don't think of it as a John Hughes movie because there's not a single teenager in it.
I know.
You know, so what are we talking about?
Yeah.
You know.
And then he and Candy did Uncle Buck 2 years later, something like that.
Yeah.
All right, box office performance for this thing. It did well, but it was not near the top 10.
Okay.
We've done the top 10 before because we've done some of these movies before, but I'm not even going to dive into the numbers necessarily.
87?
87. So it's Beverly Hills Cop 2, Platoon, Fatal Attraction, Untouchables, which we should do the Untouchables. 3 Men and a Baby, The Secret to My Success, which we may have to do that one.
Just watch that
at some point. Stakeout, Lethal Weapon, The Witches of Eastwick, and number 10 was Predator.
Ooh.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles was 29. It made $35 million with a budget of $15 million. So there's a lot of, and this one, there's a lot of movies that finished around this movie that are memorable. Possibly just because of the age of the movies, because we know all these movies. But so this movie finished 29. 26 was The Golden Child. 27 was Summer School. 28 was No Way Out. and 30 was The Running Man. So this finished right above The Running Man.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, Rotten Tomatoes. Audience or critics first? All right, we're doing audience.
Okay.
What do you think the audience score was for this movie?
I'm gonna say 86.
Eric?
I will say, I'll go a little higher. I'll say 90.
The audience score was a solid 87.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I almost said 87 because that's like my go-to number, and I'm like, I'll just go slightly under.
I thought the audience score would have been higher. Like, well in the 90s.
I think because it didn't, it's not the ton of laugh out loud.
I know.
That people would have been expecting more of that from John Candy, and so I discounted it
And
a
Steve
little
Martin.
bit because of that. Right.
2 comedic actors at the height of their popularity or close.
Yeah.
A concept everyone can get around. It's a holiday movie. It came out like Thanksgiving weekend.
Right.
Yeah, I thought it was funny enough. I thought it would have worked like higher. Okay, critics. What were the critics? Higher or lower than the audience?
I'll say lower. They usually are.
I think it's higher. I don't.
So lower than 87.
So I saw this as a part of like trivia that Roger Ebert loved it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go 90.
90 for the critics.
Yeah.
Eric?
It was 87. I'll say 80.
Critics had it at 92.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
5% higher than the audience. We cannot read these at all. We have no idea what we're doing with this.
Yeah.
It seems to make no rhyme or reason, critics and audience.
I wonder if there's anything about the plot line that like a movie critic might appreciate. And I don't know if they were travelers or, whatever, but like that difficulty of getting home and kind of that was somewhat unique and
Yeah. Or the year.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Right.
And I don't know or care to look up the way Rotten Tomatoes does their thing. I mean, whatever, but I don't get it. Okay, we mentioned it already. Robert Ebert gave this movie 3.5 out of 4 stars in his original review in '87. They followed it up in 2000 with a re-review. He gave it 4 out of 4 stars.
Whoa.
It was included in his list of great movies, and he watched it almost every Thanksgiving. Roger Ebert was all over this movie.
I love it.
All right. The exterior of the aircraft in flight is a reuse of the 707 that's flying through the storm from the movie Airplane in 1980. That's awesome.
But without the propeller noise?
That movie was also from Paramount Pictures, and this was too, so they had it in the archives and just used it. Steve Martin was convinced to join the production after favoring 2 scenes. We saw this in the extras. The seat adjustment scene in the car and the F-word tirade at the rental desk.
Yeah.
18 fucks were given
in like a minute and a half.
In 1 minute.
Yeah.
1
It was
minute?
60 seconds.
Oh my god.
From the time he starts to the time the attendant gives him the fuck back,
Right.
it's 60 seconds exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think there are any throughout in the rest of the movie.
No.
It's just they're all in a minute.
Yeah. And that's the only reason it's an R-rated movie.
Yeah. The fictional name of the railroad that the characters ride is Contrack, a combination of Conrail and Amtrak.
Right.
And I saw somewhere else that no like rental agency cars, no transportation agency would lend their name or their products to this because they were like shitting on trains, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah, like they didn't want to look like they were inept, and this is like the experience. So
yeah,
I did see that.
John Hughes wrote the first draft of the screenplay in 3 days. 3 days.
Wow.
His average writing time for a screenplay in those days was about 3 to 5 days.
Wow.
But then he did 20 plus rewrites. So,
Does it really count?
Right, that's an outline. That's not even.
Does that count?
That's not anything.
Wasn't that the story like about Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Like he wrote it in like a night?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure what he wrote is kid plays hooky from school, hijinks ensue. And that was his, 20 rewrites. And then what'd you do at first? The exterior of the rental car was designed to resemble that of the Griswold station wagon from National Lampoon's Vacation.
Family truckster.
Plainly obvious, but we all know that one. This one's funny for us, being who we are and where we are. Del and Neil are pulled over by a Wisconsin state trooper, Michael McKeon, driving from St. Louis to Chicago. Why would they have a Wisconsin state trooper? Because there were deleted scenes, or many deleted scenes or concepts for this movie. They had driven past Chicago. We're in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But in the movie, that's
it's
part
not
of it.
articulated. Yeah. I saw that there's something, like there is a 3-hour cut of the movie somewhere, but nobody really knows where it is, but it exists.
The first edit, like before they even did anything, was like 340 or something like that.
And then they brought it down, and then they went from 3 hours to like an hour and a half to tighten it up. But the Michael McKean character was supposed to be much more.
Yeah, he had a lot more going on there. He had a whole story and whatever, but they cut it all out.
A lot of plot exposition apparently was supposed to be a part of his.
A lot of ins, a lot of outs, a lot of what have yous.
Yeah. I had two other kind of two little pieces of trivia. One, you were talking about how this movie mirrors something else, but the final frame of this movie is the same as the final frame of
Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck.
Yeah.
Sans the hand wave. Other than that, it was like the same facial expression, the closed mouth smirk of John Candy.
Smirky.
And then the other great character of the movie, Owen, he and John Hughes had planned for him to, when he was spitting, to wipe his mouth with his right hand just before shaking hands with Steve Martin. So that wasn't written into the script. It was intended to totally disgust Steve Martin, so you could see the look on his face, and he's like, "Oh my god!" Like it was so he was so disgusted, and like afterward, he was like running around like trying to find a place to wash his hands or sanitize or whatever because he was so disgusted by that take, and that was the take that made it.
While we're on it, I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna sort of pivot to the casting stuff just for that guy. The Owen character was created. Basically by Dylan Baker, the actor.
Yeah.
Which I looked up as IMDb. We've seen him in everything, but there's nothing you can like point to like he's the guy from.
Right.
There's no like memorable. I mean, he's in so many things.
He's like some character actor that he's just kind
He's
of
in
always
everything.
in the background.
And I always feel like he plays like a very like conservative, uptight kind of character, and then for this Owen character is the complete opposite.
Like he plays like I think he played like a teacher or a principal like in one of the Spider-Man or something like that. He was like sort of he's always like an uptight figure of authority of some sort.
Okay.
I remember him in I think it was Road to Perdition where he's like the accountant that has to have like his poached egg and his bacon.
Had Neil and Del just stayed at the airport, they probably would have made it back to Chicago just in time. A scene shortly after shows Neil's wife watching the news, which was said it was said that hair was clearing up. That's the funny part of the movie is that, I mean, even while they're going through all that stuff, you can sort of pick it apart. Like if they had done this or had done that or didn't do this, they would have made it well in time.
Well, that is the plot also of Home Alone.
Right.
Right? So she's trying to get home to Kevin.
Right.
In the first movie, and the rest of the family had like tickets to get back 2 days later or whatever, and she didn't want to wait. She wanted to go.
Yeah.
And they walk in at the same time.
Yeah.
It's the same plot line.
That seems to be a John Hughes thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and we saw in the extras after the movie that all this was based on stuff that happened to him. He did have to get back for Thanksgiving. He was in New York. He did end up in Wichita.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing. I'm like, well, how can he have like all these weird things happen to him, and they're all very similar. Like they're all.
But I think a part of it though is that it was all Dell's influence.
Yeah.
He got stuck with Dell, and just Dell kept happening to him over and over and over and over again.
You think this sort of shit happens to Dell all the time? Like he's just the guy that.
But that was also kind of the joke was, it never happened to Dell. Like when the car catches on fire,
right?
And then he's like, "You finally did it to yourself."
Right. That's right. That's right. Right. I watched this, and Eric had seen it before, but you were upstairs when I watched this earlier.
Okay.
After the credits, there's a scene where Neil's boss is at his desk, still looking at the ads with this Thanksgiving turkey there.
Right.
So they have a little stinger at the end of the movie.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, casting. We did talk about Dylan already. I didn't do a lot of research on this, but this one thing came up. John Hughes originally wanted Tom Hanks for Neil Page and John Travolta for Del Griffith.
John Travolta? I saw John Goodman.
I saw Travolta.
I did read something else, so that John Goodman was also considered.
Yeah,
John
that makes perfect sense.
Travolta.
Yeah. Hanks was unavailable because he was busy shooting Big. And the Paramount executives didn't want Travolta because he was considered box office poison at the time.
Oh my God.
Not wrong.
That's funny to think about that.
There's...
Yeah.
That's Travolta's whole career, though. He does something good. He rides that until it...
Yeah, is in the dirt.
He's in the dirt, and nobody will touch him, and then he's had a couple of comebacks. Like, when did Look Who's Talking come out? Because that was like a comeback for him.
It's got to be 90, 91.
Was it that late?
Somewhere around there.
Oh my God. That was so bad.
Yeah.
All right. Any other trivia? Because that's all I got.
No, I think that's all I had too.
John Goodman for the candy roll makes sense.
That makes sense. John Travolta. That's like
Tom Hanks and John Travolta. Weird. That's a weird movie.
Yeah, it is. That's a completely different movie. Tom Hanks could do. Yeah. Tom Hanks could pull that off in the same way that Steve Martin could, but how does John Travolta do that John Candy role? That doesn't make any sense.
No.
It'd be like really weird.
Really weird. Okay. It's a recasting debate. It is time to recast or bait.
Better close the door. It's time to recast or bait.
Here we go.
We are really just doing two people. If you want to throw a third in, fine. But it's Neil, Steve Martin, and Del, John Candy.
And I did mine all as like duos.
I did not, except mine could line up that way. I also have a gender swap option.
Yep, I do too.
And then I have I would have liked these two, but I wanted them before, but they would have been too young before. They're the right age now, and I don't want them now.
Yeah.
So I'll do that one. So that's convoluted. That's just my head being weird. So these two, I like how they interact together. They've been in a movie together. It would be good interaction. I like the way they interacted when they were younger. I don't like them now together. Maybe it would work, but they're the perfect age. Could happen.
Wow, this is quite the build-up.
Michael Cera and Jonah Hill.
Oh.
Like, I kind of want the younger version of them
Yeah.
to do this movie. I want the Superbad version of this movie.
Those two? That's funny.
I wouldn't want them to do it now. I don't
Yeah.
like it now. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's start with... I mean, you're doing...
Mine are all
pairs. Could you
Yeah.
pair yours up, Eric?
Let
If
me.
you had to?
let me
So I
look here.
think I can pair mine up. 'Cause that might be the easiest way to do this.
I could definitely pair some of these up. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go with... Putting mine in order, though, is tricky. 1, 2, or 3. I don't know if I like mine more than each other. All right. Let's have Allison start.
Oh.
You got to pick a pair. You're number 3, I guess, or number 2.
Okay. Am I doing 3, 2, 1 right away, or are we all doing our 3s and then all doing our 2s?
Let's all do our 3s. Let's do
Okay.
3 all the way around, and then do it that way.
Okay.
Your third place.
My 3 is Jake Johnson and Max Greenfield.
Wow. Okay. New Girl.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I think I have mine backwards here. All right. I didn't have these as pairs, so I'm just creating pairs on the fly, so
Okay.
take this with a grain of salt. I think my pair is Paul Rudd as Neil,
Uh-huh.
and then Kenan Thompson as Del Griffith.
Oh, funny.
And Rudd and Kenan together, I think, could work.
Right.
That's my number 3, I think.
That's good.
Eric, what do you think? Your third?
For my third, I will go with. I'll go with the name that I didn't want to put in here, but I feel like it's obligated to be in there. I have Ryan Reynolds. And then for my Dell, I'm going to, for number 3, might be a little bit old, but I think it'd still work. Bob Odenkirk.
Oh. For Dell.
Oh, that's
For
funny.
Dell.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
He could almost play either part.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of these guys probably could.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Al, do you want to do your 2, or should I do it too?
Got Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy.
Damn it.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is not my 2. This is my separate gender swap edition.
Uh-huh.
I had Kristen Wiig and Adie Bryant.
Oh. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So my real number 2 would be Bill Hader and Zach Galifianakis.
Oh my god. How did I miss Zach Galifianakis?
I know.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Of course.
Well, and Bill Hader.
Yeah.
Of course.
I like...
Of course.
That was nearly my number 1, but I'm like, I've got a
Of course.
different number 1.
Yeah.
It's a solid number 2. Eric, you're number 2. Your second place.
So my second place is Paul Rudd and Jason Segel.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Where's Segel been lately?
I know. He's doing a puppet show somewhere.
Jeez. Okay, your number 1 duo, Al.
All right.
This is your first place, the top of the top.
I think I like Jordan Peele and Keegan-Michael Key.
Damn it! I think that's the right answer.
It's good.
Shit.
And if you really want to kick it up, you can have Jordan Peele also direct it and make it a total dark situation. Yeah. But
damn it, I like that one. Okay, my number one is the too old variety of this that I was trying to avoid, but I couldn't avoid it. It's Steve Carell and John C. Reilly.
Oh. John C. Reilly, you could definitely see.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I like this even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Better, but fine. That's my old guy version. All right, Eric, and number one.
All right. I don't know if it really... I had a hard time. I'm going to say these aren't ranked. I'm just putting. Yeah. I got a whole bunch of names here, and I'm just throwing stuff out. For my last one, I'll have Jason Sudeikis and Bert Kreischer.
Yeah.
I don't know who's Bert.
The Machine.
He's a comedian,
stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
So I had Paul Rudd down as Neil with Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
As Del.
Mm-hmm.
I purposefully chose John C. Reilly over Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
I also have two options for Dylan. No, sorry, for Owen, played by Dylan Baker.
I have one.
I had my backup being David Spade. A little more of a Joe Dirt vibe with that one. The guy I want, I think, is Andy Samberg.
Oh.
Different, but I think he could do something weird. So.
I could see, I'm totally blanking on his name. The guy who plays Barry, you mentioned him earlier.
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader, sure.
Bill Hader. Yeah. I also had Johnny Knoxville as him. It's going to be slightly different, but...
I think you have Johnny Knoxville waiting in the wings on a lot of your options throughout this podcast.
You know, and I am not a big Johnny Knoxville Jackass fan at all.
I don't consider him for anything ever.
But he's just off enough that I think could play the part great.
Mm-hmm. I didn't come up with any. I didn't do any of the other characters, but I had 6 names for Neil and Del. A couple other names. I had Randall Park for Neil.
I don't know who.
I know him. I can't place it though.
Asian actor. He was in like WandaVision.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. Oh, that's good.
John Krasinski, maybe if he's sort of the annoyed Jim type of role. Mm-hmm. Kevin Hart, maybe. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And then for my other Dells, I did have Kenan Thompson. Yeah. I think he could do that really well. I did also have a Jonah Hill. I had him down there too. And
that's the guy I didn't want him in my movie, but yeah.
And then the last one for Del, Brendan Fraser.
Oh.
Like if you watch the movie Bedazzled, he can play that super, be that annoying guy.
Oh my gosh.
He could be Adele.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. I didn't expect that one. All right.
The one other duo that I had was Tina Fey and Amy Poehler.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Doing this as well.
Yeah. Yeah, they basically have done that in a couple different movies.
Right.
Yeah. Right. I mean, straight and a mess.
Right. And they flip-flop, too.
Yeah. All right. Memorable scenes and quotable lines. So, I only wrote down one quote, and then everything else would just be scenes, basically. To me, the only quote from this movie is, "Those aren't pillows."
Yeah.
Why are you holding my hand? Where's your other hand? Between 2 pillows. Those aren't pillows.
Right?
Right. That is a big one. There is another one that you definitely loved when we were watching it, which is, they'll be able to buff this out, no problem.
I love that in any movie ever. Anytime there's a big, huge dent or like a fender's missing or some massive thing and they say they're going to buff it out, I'm in. I love it.
There were a couple of others, of course. Eric, you referenced it earlier, but it was after all of the fucks, and at the end, you just watch her face gradually kind of like get more stoic, and then she takes her pen and like itches on the back of her head, and then at the end is like, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like,
that whole scene's awesome.
The whole thing is great.
Yeah.
The other thing that it gets a snicker every time, which is, this is Czechoslovakian ivory. What?
They have helium in them, so they're very light.
Yeah, I imagine that we could watch the outtakes. We probably have them.
Yeah.
All the stuff he would have made up for those things when he was trying to sell them in that airport or wherever.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Czechoslovakian ivory. And it was like purple or blue or something.
Yeah.
Crazy.
There's another, it's a good line. I don't know if it's a quotable line, but it was a funny line, which is, Larry Bird doesn't do as much ball handling in a night as you do in an hour.
Yeah.
Which is very funny.
The scene when Owen comes to pick them up at the train station to drive them to the train station to pick up. I mean, all those ticks and all that.
Oh my gosh.
Insanity. That's a great scene.
Are you Gus's son?
I'm Owen. You the shower curtain fella?
Yeah, Del Griffith.
How are you?
This is Neil Page from Chicago.
Hi. Pleased to meet you both.
She's small and skinny, but she's strong.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the couple of quick cuts. One to the surprise of John Candy in the taxi when, like, Steve Martin opens the door and he's like, that's good. And of course, when they are driving between the semis and there's like the three frame flash of the skeletons and the
skeletons. He's the devil.
Right.
And he does that in Home Alone too, with the skeleton frame or two. Yeah,
it's so good. But I love how it barely registers as something that's there. Yeah. Like, I love it.
It's so cartoony.
I know.
It's out of control.
I like that the first introduction of sort of Neil of what Del is like when they're in the motel and he takes a shower and he comes out of the shower and there's just trash and everything over there. All the towels are gone and all he has is that one little washcloth.
Yes.
That he only left him with.
I mentioned it when we were watching it. I'm like, when he takes that foot out and steps on the wet tile floor, like, I cringed. I can't.
Like stepping on that towel and it just seeped out water.
When the state trooper pulls him over, I think that's a good scene with the ruined, fire singed car.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And then I did like the beginning, the race for the cab with Kevin Bacon.
Oh.
Yeah.
When we were watching it, I'm like, wait, does Kevin Bacon have a bigger part than I remember? And no, he's like a nothing part. He's on screen for like a minute total, I think, or something like that. But yeah, it was good.
These are just people who were in other movies, and then
he
liked them, and was like, hey, I'll be in your next one. Just whatever it is, fine.
Yep.
I was struggling through. It was in the back of my head watching the movie the whole time. This time was from the beginning. Like, is the same actor? Is that supposed to be Ferris Bueller's dad?
I know.
He was another ad exec from Chicago. Mm-hmm. And like, is that supposed to be Ferris's dad?
Interesting.
But then he called him John, and I had to look, and it's Tom Bueller, and then this guy's name was John, so it wasn't him. But it's like, how is that not just the same guy?
You could easily do like a John Hughes extended universe
for sure
thing. They have different names, but there's so many characters that are the same in a bunch of movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, that's all I got for that. What would you want to see in a sequel? So I wrote down one thing. I guess it's a sequel. It's more of a spin-off. I want to see like the Del Griffith's life on the road. I want to see like him as a traveling salesman and all the. He knows everybody, and everybody knows him, and everybody seems to like him, and he has some sort of power over people. I want to see what he does on the road.
But I mean, to that point, you can sort of just, it could be another movie of just him on another adventure with another person.
Totally.
So it's not necessarily about him doing his job, but it's kind of the in-between.
Yeah, I don't think you should really ever see Del actually doing his job.
Right. Yeah. I want to see him out and about. Yeah, it could almost be. It's basically Tommy Boy, kind of. Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing him in the same situation where he is playing the straight guy, and then he's got somebody else who's his Del, like who's worse than him.
If you think too long about being a shower curtain ring salesman, like it makes you insane. Like what?
No. It's ludicrous.
And the way he explains his title, too, it's like the different divisions and stuff that he works in, and he's like the head of the shower ring division or something. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
How is that? It's no way that's a thing.
I know.
All right. The how much are they worth game.
And now, let's play the how much are they worth game.
So,
are there many people that are still alive?
Yeah.
So we're doing Steve Martin?
Yeah.
We're going to run into some estates.
Edie McClurg?
Yeah, I know. We've got Kevin Bacon, Michael McKean. We're doing John Candy. We're doing John Hughes and Steve Martin.
Oh, no.
So, in two cases, it's the estate of, but, that's where we're at. And if we get stymied, then we do. So Kevin Bacon is first.
Ooh.
And I think we know where we know him from.
We do?
Yeah, Tremors. That's the one we know from, right?
He's going to be in the new Christmas Guardians of the Galaxy
special?
Is he?
Yeah, playing himself.
Oh, right. That's right. I didn't see that.
105 acting credits.
Wow.
1 writer credit.
And how much money is he making with his band?
The Bacon Brothers. Okay, there's a lot here to think about.
Few producer credits.
Is it possible that he just chooses things to work on just based on their titles? Because I see Smilf and I see I Love Dick. So I think he's just like, oh, that'd be funny. I'll just do that.
There is a 1-minute short of Britney Spears catches Kevin Bacon dancing, which is an Apple Music UK commercial that he got credit for. So I think we've got a wide range of things here. Okay.
He wrote and directed a video called Free the Bacon.
That's hilarious. I have a number.
I wrote down a number.
And it's almost based on nothing. I don't even know where to start with this guy.
Okay.
Eric, what do you think? Do you have a number?
I have a number. I will say 55 million.
Ooh.
Probably way off.
Al?
I said 65.
I said 35. 55, 65, 55, 35. Okay. Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon is an American actor and musician who has a net worth of $45 million.
Ooh.
You were right around it.
So Brennan gets it?
I get it.
Yeah.
Just out of being... My price is right at you, basically. Because I was under. All right. Michael McKean. Lenny of Lenny and Squiggy.
He was in. Was he in Coneheads?
Yeah, he was the INS agent. David St. Hubbins from Spinal Tap.
Yeah, yeah.
Have we done him before?
We've mentioned him. I don't know if we did his
Clue.
numbers, though.
Did we do Clue?
Oh, Clue. We did him in Clue. Yeah.
I have no idea what it was.
No.
Yeah. He's one of the folksmen.
Let's say he's in all those.
248 acting credits.
Oh my god.
He does a lot of like drive-bys. The Mighty Wind, yeah.
He showed up that random season on Saturday Night Live. When he was, remember, he's a cast member for.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Al.
It's so weird.
He played Cousin Louie on Oswald.
Oh yes. I love Oswald.
The old kids cartoon where the lead or a lead character was played by Squiggy from where Squiggy was the penguin, and then so he had a cousin, and so it's Lenny. That's awesome.
Cousin Louie and Maestro Bingo Bunny. Also.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. He's all over the place. He's got so many small things.
All right, I've written one down. I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea, truly.
And the thing is we've done this before not that long ago, and I have no idea.
Oh, if we did
it's a clean slate every time.
If we did it last week, I wouldn't know what it is.
I don't remember.
Al, give us your number.
I wrote down 30.
I wrote down 20. Eric.
35.
Okay. Michael McKean. Is an American actor, writer, comedian, director, producer, and musician who has a net worth of $12 million.
Oh.
I get that one again.
Yikes. This is not good. And now we're heading into the estates.
Yeah.
I am gonna struggle.
Let's start with John Candy. But you gotta do the conversion for Canadian money, so. I mean, short career, but significant.
He was only 43 years old.
I know.
And it was just his birthday, Halloween.
Oh, is it Halloween?
Mm-hmm. He would have been 72.
Wow.
Died at 43, had 66 actor credits. Wow. Canadian Bacon, Wagons East, Hostage for a Day, Cool Runnings, Rookie of the Year, Rabbit Ears. I mean, some of these are not big movies, but Boris and Natasha, Once Upon a Time, JFK. Oh, JFK, that's a good Tom Candy.
Candy?
John Candy. Career Opportunities, Nothing But Trouble, Home Alone, Uncle Buck, Who's Harry Crumb? Ooh. The Great Outdoors, Spaceballs, Armed and Dangerous. He's all over the place, man. He's got a lot of stuff here. Summer Rental.
Brewster's Millions.
Brewster's, yeah.
Splash.
National Lampoon's Vacation. SNL, SCTV, Stripes, Blues Brothers. Good God, man.
1941. Yeah,
yes. So this is like, I don't even know. I mean, how do you do this? Eric, do you have a number?
I have a number. I'll say 20 million.
Ooh.
Al?
I said 8.
I said 10.
Yeah, I'm sure this is not my night.
John Candy was a Canadian actor and comedian who had a net worth of $15 million at the time of death in 94. Wow.
Brendan again?
Yep.
Cheater.
This is called a sweep. John Hughes. This is another one. Burned brightly, but shortly.
But then, oddly enough, he was around longer than we thought. Because he wrote a lot under an alias.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he was writing...
Home Alone, Home Alone 2, Home Alone 3.
Beethoven. Dennis the Menace. Oh my God, that movie. Your fire's getting puny.
Upstairs, come on.
He wrote Drill Bit Taylor. He wrote Made in Manhattan. The story.
Vegas Vacation. Hey, Papa Giorgio!
Put $1 and I got a car. Put $1 and I got a car. Put $1 and I got a car. Put $1 and I got a car.
101 Dalmatians, Flubber. Curly Sue.
Well, he did write Career Opportunities.
Yeah. Mr. Mom. Jesus. I mean, 8 director credits, 23 producer credits, 53 writer credits. Good Lord. All right. I got a number. You guys have numbers?
Yes. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
All right, Eric. You're up.
I'm going to say 20 million.
Oh my gosh, I might be in trouble.
I've way overshot every one of these so far. I'm...
Al, what do you got?
I wrote 85.
Oh my God. I wrote 32.
What, Eric, did you say? 25?
20.
20? Oh my God.
85. I hope. I mean, that'd be... Okay. Okay. This is surprising. John Hughes was an American filmmaker, screenwriter, and director who had a net worth of $150 million.
Woo!
Holy hellfire.
Yes.
Al gets that one. Holy crap. I mean,
he had some big movies.
I know,
but then he had a lot of that were.
I know, but
yeah.
he had a lot of big movies.
He did have some big ones. But
big
even so,
movies, and all of the what you call it, residuals or
I know
the Home Alone residuals have to be huge.
Right.
So that number is at the time of his death in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And now I guess what I thought was going to be the big gun, Steve Martin.
Oh, I think it still will be.
I think it's a big gun, but John Hughes. John Hughes. 150. That's pretty good. got that Roxanne movie, or Money.
Yeah.
Bowfinger Money.
The Pink Panther.
Yeah.
Cheaper by the dozen. Oh, Bringing Down the House. Just tell her the cool points are out the window. She's got me all twisted up in the game.
Father of the Bride Money.
Yep.
Cheaper by the dozen Money.
Ooh, Mixed Nuts.
That movie sucks.
Sergeant Bilko.
Yep.
Parenthood.
My Blue Heaven. You could melt all this stuff.
What do you do with all that meat? Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Yep.
Let me give you Steve Martin's. Where should I?
Little Shop of Horrors.
Hang on. 86, Three Amigos. 87 or 86, Little Shop of Horrors. 87, Roxanne. 87, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. 88, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. 89, Parenthood. That's a pretty good little run.
I was just about to say, would you like to smell the bottle cap, sir?
The Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour.
Oh my god.
All right, let's get a number for this dope.
Oh. He's also playing the banjo a lot.
It's got that banjo cache.
Okay, I've got a number.
Let me see one thing. I see, yes. I have a very specific number.
Wow.
Eric, you're up again.
85.
85. Al.
I said 125.
I threw him above John Hughes with a 161.
Wow.
I know. I was going for it.
He's got that Martin and Martin touring that they've been doing.
Steve Martin Short.
Yeah.
Why do they not call it Steve Martin Short?
I know.
Yeah, no kidding. Steve Martin is an American comedian, actor, writer, and musician who has a net worth of $140 million.
Oh, yes.
You get it by $2 million. So Al gets it.
Did you guys tie it up?
I won.
Or Brendan got it 3-2.
3-2. Eric got shut out.
I think this might be like the second or third time I've been shut out. It's pretty rare, but it does happen.
Shut out. Yeah. And except for like one, not close. Eric's off his game.
Yeah.
It's the location change that's screwing him up. He's not doing it at home. All right. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. To recap.
Sorry. I don't know why that was funny.
It's good. It's a good movie. It totally holds up. I think it holds up.
You haven't asked your big question that you love to ask.
I've taken it off the table. That's only for me.
Because this is your big one where you get to say, would cell phones change the situation?
Absolutely changes
and
the
it
movie.
definitely does in this movie.
Yeah. Everybody, on the plane, in the airport, would be contacting...
You're not waiting in a line
everything.
to get a hotel room and...
Calling other airlines,
Right.
calling hotels and cars and other... It's all taken care of.
Right.
Yeah. The movie ends in 27 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not on this flight. I'm on this flight. Fine.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Done and done.
No hotels, Airbnb.
Yeah. There's Uber instead of trying to catch the cab.
Right.
It's done.
Yeah. It's good, and like we said before, I think before we were recording, it's one of the few, I don't know if you call it a classic or not, but classic movies about the Thanksgiving period, not the Christmas period. It's about getting home for Thanksgiving.
So one of the things that I thought was the most unbelievable part of the movie was that there was a snowstorm on Thanksgiving. Like, there's no snow at Thanksgiving anymore. Like, that's global warming has taken care of that. Like, all of the snow on the ground and stuff like that's. I have not seen a Thanksgiving like that in 30 years.
So Eric, when they get home and they open the door and all the family is there, the kids,
they're just standing in the foyer,
the grandparents or whatever, they're all sort of hanging around. It's the day after Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, they didn't make it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was confused, like how everybody's there. They're all dressed like they're almost staged, ready to go sit down at the table, but clearly not. That was confusing. We even mentioned it when it was over. Like, is that the day after Thanksgiving? Why is everybody there? What's going on? So, I don't know.
Yeah. Because it was 2 nights that they were out and about.
Yeah, I mean, if it was the day of, they would have been on time.
Right.
It's good. It's solid.
Yeah. It's rewatchable.
Yeah. It's almost maybe not as much as some of the holiday classics, but it's nearly a must-watch, I think, around the holidays.
Yep.
All right. That's it.
All right.